Hi guys, good evening and welcome to the webinar. It's really good to see you. I am here in Bologna. For the students that don't know me, my name is Sophia. I come from London, but I live in Bologna, as I said, and I work at my English school, Bologna 1000. If you're joining us now, as always, introduce yourselves, say hello, tell me your name, tell me where you are from, tell me where you are. Maybe you are living in a different city from the city where you were born or you grew up. Yeah, say hello in the comments. And I have a question for you to start, because today we are talking all about technology and different inventions. And this is my question. We're going to go historical, okay? I want you to think back at your history classes and tell me, what are some important inventions of the modern era? When we talk about the modern era or the modern age, we're talking about the last 200, maybe 300 years. Let me see some comments. Hey, Sarah, nice to see you. Thank you for joining from Milan. Wonderful. So let's think about what are some important inventions of the last 200, 300 years that have changed the way that we live, okay? That have changed humanity, changed society, changed our everyday lives. Hi, Monica. Nice to see you. Welcome. I'm going to start here by talking about not an invention like a machine, but something which I believe is a very important invention of this of the modern age is penicillin, medicines, because this something that not many people maybe think about, but has had a huge effect on the way we live. Because now with very simple medicines like penicillin, for example, we can avoid very bad situations and we can heal from simple illnesses. So penicillin, I would argue, medicines are one of the most important inventions. Hi, Enrico. Hi, Enrico. Nice to see you. And Tiziana, good to see you too. Enrico from Modena, nice. So you're very close to Bologna. And Tiziana also from Milan. So let me know in the comments, what do you think are the most important inventions of the modern era and why? It could be connected to technology. It could be connected to medicine, to the way we live, whatever you can think of which you think has changed our lives in some way. Remember that we're talking about the modern era. So as I said before, the last 200 years, 300 years or so, we're not talking about inventions from ancient times, which would be, for example, maybe we could think of the Romans with roads, running water, but these are all inventions of the ancient era. We're thinking of more modern inventions. So let me know in the comments what you can think of. If we're talking about technology, obviously transport is a very important invention of the modern era. Imagine that until 200 years ago, maybe more, we relied on our own feet, essentially, and maybe animals such as horses or donkeys in order to travel. But in the 19th century, cars were invented. And this, of course, changed a lot of things, as were trains. I think also in the 19th century, aeroplanes, and suddenly distances became a lot smaller. So where before you needed an entire day maybe to travel somewhere, now you could do it in half an hour. So the world became a lot more compact, a lot more convenient as well. So again, if you're joining me now, please say hello. Please introduce yourselves in the comments. Tell me your name, where you come from. Tell me what are some important inventions of the modern age. And in the meantime, let's have a look at our comments. So Sarah says, for example, technology. Today we are doing lesson online, and this is very simple. Yeah, absolutely. So I would say that for this we have two big technologies involved. We've got on the one hand what you can see in front of you, so the laptop or the telephone or the computer that you are using to watch the webinar. But then, of course, we also have the internet, which is connecting us. Good idea, Sarah. And we also have a comment from Aaron. Hi, Aaron, who says, hi, I'm Aaron from Bologna. I think one of the most important inventions of the modern era is the internet. It revolutionized the way we live, definitely. And it also brought people closer together. It removed spaces between us because you can communicate with people all over the world very quickly, very easily. Constantina, hi mom, says laser eye surgery. Okay, that's an interesting one. Can you tell me why this is why you chose laser eye surgery as an important invention of the modern era? Very good. So keep telling me your ideas. And in the meantime, we're going to play a little game. Because many inventions started a long, long time ago. And when they were first created, they appeared very, very differently to how they appear today. So I am going to show you some photographs. Some photographs of ordinary inventions, ordinary technology that we use today, but the original version from a long time ago. All you are going to do is guess what these inventions were used for. So what was the original purpose of these machines? Are you ready? Because some of these are going to be a bit strange. Let's just check some comments. Melissa is Enrico. Enrico says, I agree with Aaron. Good. Remember, Enrico, that agree is a verb. So we don't need am. This is the Italian. I agree with whoever, okay? So be careful with the verb agree. And Monica says, in my opinion, the most important invention are means of transport. Good. Remember to use plural, Monica. You said the most important inventions are means of transport. Excellent. Are you ready to play? This is your first invention. I want you to take a look at this and tell me, what do you think this is? Hi, Sylvia from Parma. Nice to see you. We're playing a game. We are guessing what these inventions are. So, any ideas of what this could be? It's hard to understand the dimension from the picture, but I would say this was about the height, the same height as a person, or maybe slightly shorter than a person, probably. What do you think this was for? You can write your ideas in the comments. I'll give you some more help. This had water inside. It was full of water. And you might also put, well, you probably also put in soap, okay? Let's see, Marcello is here. Hi, Marcello. Hi, I'm from Milan. In my opinion, a great modern invention is a satellite. Yeah, definitely. Because again, it allows us to communicate with people all over the world instantly. It allows us to broadcast. So yeah, absolutely, a satellite is an important invention. Any ideas of what this machine is? Inside there was water and soap, and it was about the height of a person, maybe slightly shorter than a person. Monica, I haven't any idea, but Sylvia has got it. Sylvia is actually correct. This is a prototype washing machine. And if you can see, it's actually moved by hand. That is a handle at the top that you could use to push the water and the clothes around. Let's have a look at another one. What do you think this strange machine here is? What do you think this is? Now I'm also trying to remember what this one was. I remember. This one is connected to smoking. Okay, so think about cigarettes, think about what is needed to make a cigarette, what it contains, and see if you can guess what this machine is. For this one, honestly, I have no idea about the size. Maybe it was very, very big. Maybe it was something that you put on a table. I honestly don't know, but it's connected to smoking. Sylvia asks, first printer. No, but I understand why you said that. It's not a printer though. As I said, it's connected to smoking. This one and it's connected specifically to the tobacco, so the leaves, the plant that you put inside a cigarette. Any ideas? Any guesses? Or shall I reveal? So this one, if you look in the comments, is actually a Aaron asks, is it a cigarette roller? It's actually a tobacco leaf grater, okay? So it's a machine to cut tobacco leaves into little pieces so they can go inside cigarettes. It's the step between the plant and the cigarette. Let's have a look at another one. This one was painful. This one is connected to somewhere that we don't like to go. It's an instrument used by somebody that we need to see every so often for our health, but usually it's not a pleasant experience. I know that I was terrified when I was a child, and I know also that Mum is traumatized by this. Any ideas? Yeah, Sylvia, exactly right. Nice job. This is a prototype instrument used by a dentist. It's a lav, so it's something that dentists use to clean your mouth during dental surgery. Fun, huh? I bet you're very glad that this has developed a bit now. Let's skip this one and go on to this one. We've got another machine here. Again, I think this would be about this size, so big enough to go onto a table. If you look closely at the end, you can see a sheet, okay? What do you think this might be? And before you say it, no, it is not a pasta maker, because I know that's what it looks like, but it's not a pasta maker. But it does involve stretching and flattening a material. Any ideas? What is this invention? We still use them today, but today it would be a lot more industrialized. So this one is a paper maker, okay? A machine for creating paper and for stretching it and making it into the correct form. We'll do two more. This is the penultimate one. These are very used today, but they look completely different. The pane, the square piece of metal that you can see on one side might help you to understand what this is. It's connected to energy, something that we need to produce energy in a natural way. Aaron asks, is this a windmill? And he is absolutely correct. This is, in fact, a prototype windmill. And a windmill today is very different in shape. It's actually circular. It has these blades that go around to using the air. We'll do one final one. This one is strange. What is this machine, this invention, in your opinion? Marcello, if you're talking about the previous one to measure wind speed, maybe. Yeah, it would measure wind speed, but it's a windmill, so it uses wind power to generate energy. But we have this one now, this very, very strange looking. I don't know how to describe it. It looks like something out of a horror movie, possibly, but I promise it's not. What do you think this could be? You can see it's like a metal box. It seems to have one opening, maybe two openings, and two circular parts in the middle. Sylvia guesses a camera. I can understand why you guessed that. It does look like a camera, but this is quite big. In fact, it's big enough for a person to go inside. It's big enough for a person to get inside. My original guess was a type of oven, but it's not an oven either. As I said, it's quite big. It doesn't show in the photograph. What do you think this could be? So again, it's made of metal. There are two doors, and it's for people to go inside. So this will be quite shocking, but this is actually a prototype of a lifeboat. Okay, a lifeboat is an emergency boat. Joanna says, I thought it was a pencil set. It's actually a lifeboat. Lifeboats are boats which we see on ships, and they are for emergencies. So if the ship goes down, people can go in the lifeboat and be safe. Obviously now lifeboats are made of rubber. They are inflatable, so they have air inside to keep them above the sea. Okay, I'll write this word, inflatable, which is an adjective, and it means full of air. But as you can see, this lifeboat is neither made of rubber nor is it inflatable. In fact, I don't know how this would save anyone, but I suppose this is why it is a prototype and not the version that we use today. But thank you for playing, everyone. Let's have a look now at our focus. Joanna says, I'd stay on the boat. And yeah, honestly, I don't blame you. That thing looks like a nightmare. So in this focus activity, we will discuss some famous inventions, we will do some passives, and we will present our own inventions as well. So let's start with with a discussion of inventions. I want you to have a look in your house, have a look around you, and tell me which invention is the most useful, okay? Using things that you have around you in your house. My demonstration of my most useful invention, we already said laptop and internet, so I won't talk about those, is my thermos. For me, this is an incredible invention and the most useful because it keeps my water cold in the summer and it keeps my tea hot in the winter. So for me, this is the most useful. I'm not sponsoring, I'm not advertising anything, but get yourselves one of these. It will change your life. So let me know in the comments for you. Look around your house, your apartment, what invention is the most useful for you? We have the most useful, the least useful. So we can think of the opposite of useful or useless. So what is the most useless invention or technology you have in your house? What is Let's see what comments we have. Monica says, good. Monica, don't forget to switch your adjective. The most useful invention, okay, adjective comes first, without doubts, is the telephone. Good, nice answer. Let me write here so that you can see your order. Most useful invention. Excellent. I like this. Masha says the most useful is the fridge. No, seriously, it definitely is the most useful invention, a very useful invention, because you can keep food cold and preserved inside your house. Imagine in the past, you had two choices. You either eat your food immediately, all of it, or, which wouldn't be a problem, let's be honest, but you either eat all your food immediately, or you have your cold house, which is outside of your house, especially in colder countries. So you need to leave your kitchen and go outside into the snow to get your food, which isn't very attractive, let's say. Sylvia says, in my opinion, the most useful invention is the wheel. That's a really good idea, Sylvia. Absolutely. A very useful invention for transport, for energy, for power, many different things. And Enrico, the most useful invention is the computer. Guys, don't forget to use also your articles, okay? The computer, the fridge, the telephone, okay? You need to use articles in your sentences. So we have the most useful, the least useful. So what in your house is absolutely useless? The most interesting, the craziest, the most important, and the most expensive. Have a look around your houses and tell me what objects, what technology do you have to complete these categories in your house, but maybe also outside of your house. So talking about the craziest, for me, the craziest invention is one idea, a hot air balloon. Let me describe to you what a hot air balloon is. A hot air balloon is a very, very big balloon, colorful with hot air, and you use it to travel, okay? And for me, this is a crazy idea, a crazy invention, because you are traveling in a basket, so in a wooden structure, which is carried by a balloon full of air. Like there's no machinery, there's no controls, you cannot change the direction. You depend on the air currents to move. So for me, this idea is crazy. I don't know if I would go in a hot air balloon. Marcella says the most useful invention is the washing machine. Yes. I agree with you. The washing machine for me is absolutely indispensable. And I cannot imagine how in the past people would wash their clothes by hand. For me, this sounds like a nightmare. The least useful invention in my house, I've got them right here to demonstrate. I cannot speak. The least useful things in my house are these DVDs. These are my boyfriend's Star Wars DVDs. Now, they're not useless because they're Star Wars. They're useless because we don't have a DVD player. We only have DVDs. So these have purely decorative value. They're just there to look cool, essentially. So these are the most useless technology, the most useless invention that I have in my apartment. Yeah, so keep telling me your comments. We've got the most useful, the least useful, so useless, interesting, craziest, important, and the most expensive as well. Masha says the least useful invention is the bookcase. Interesting. Could you tell me, Masha, why is the bookcase not useful? Tell me why you chose this one. That's an interesting answer. Think also about Marcella says, the least useful is the yogurt maker. I'm trying to imagine, I'm trying to fantasize the scene here, Marcello. I imagine that you got a yogurt maker for Christmas or for your birthday. Somebody bought you a yogurt maker and you said, oh yeah, amazing. Now I will make yogurt. And you never touched the yogurt maker. I imagine that it's still in its confection. It's still in the box. Tell me if I'm right. The most useful invention is the washing machine, and the least is the bread maker, is what Mum says. And I think she says the bread maker because you make bread by hand, right? Or why the bread maker? Maybe you prefer making your bread by hand, and this is why. The most interesting invention is the 3D printer. That is a very good answer, Sylvia. It's definitely, yeah. It's fantastic what things we can create using a 3D printer. And especially it's being used for things like even medicine, it's being used for surgery, like they are printing body parts that they use in medicine, which is it's a really fantastic thing. So yeah, absolutely, 3D printer, I agree. Let's have another few ideas about famous inventions. What do you think is important, expensive? I'm trying to think. The most expensive invention in my apartment is probably the computer, but in the world, probably some rockets that they use for space, maybe things that they use in physics. I'm thinking of maybe the Hydrogen Collider or other technology that they use in scientific experiments. I got it, didn't I? Yes, you're absolutely right. And yogurt at the supermarket is so cheap. Yeah. So it's a present and it's still in its box. Monica, maybe the least useful could be the book, because today we can read always with a telephone, and in general, people buy less books. Yeah, it's definitely a good point. I don't think that books will disappear completely. I think that printing, to print is the putting words to stamp words on paper. I don't think that books will ever disappear, and newspapers, etc. I don't think they will disappear completely, but definitely having technology like telephones, tablets, Kindles that you can read on is very convenient in some cases, not in every case, but definitely in a lot of cases. Nice job, guys. Let's see, Francesca says, I think the book is the most important. They smell so well. Yes, they smell so good. Francesca, we need to use good in this case. Okay. They smell so good. Nice job, guys. Okay, I'm going to continue on to the next activity. We have on the slide some questions, and we have some pictures. We can see in the top left, we can see a telescope. Is it a telescope? No. What is that? It's a spyglass. It's imagine a pirate, okay? What a pirate would use to look into the distance. We have a telephone that is attached to the wall. Who can tell me, what do we call this kind of telephone that is attached to the wall? We have, that looks like a space rocket. We have a camera, an aeroplane. The next one I think is meant to represent electricity. We have television, mobile phones, and cars. Okay, let's look at the first question. How have these inventions changed since they were originally produced? Is it a monocle, Sylvia? I think a monocle is what you put on your eye. If you think about, for example, the Monopoly man, he has a monocle. So it's a glass, but for only one eye. I don't know if it's a monocle or a telescope or if it has a different name. If anybody knows what this is called, please write it in the comments. Number 2, what changes have been made to update each of these products? Let's write this in the comments. To update is to make more modern. Okay. And 3, are they still useful or have they become completely obsolete? Obsolete is an adjective. I'll write this in the comments. And it means that it is now useless or out of date. Okay, so it's no longer necessary. So looking at the inventions, the technology that you can see on the slide, let's respond in the comments to these questions. How have they changed? How have they been updated? Are they obsolete or still useful? So looking at, obviously, the telephone, the mobile phone has changed a lot. First of all, the size, because when they originally were invented, they were enormous. They were about this big and they had buttons. Whereas today, most mobile phones will fit in your hand. And they don't have buttons anymore. One of the biggest changes to telephones is the touch screen. So you no longer press a button, you touch parts of the screen to make it function. Looking at cameras as well have become now digital. It's very difficult today to find original cameras with film. Maybe it's not difficult, but for sure they are quite expensive, I would imagine. But cameras now are digital, they have screens, they don't rely on film like cameras in the past. So let me know in the comments, how have these inventions changed and how have they been updated? The aeroplane, I don't know if the aeroplane has changed a lot. I don't think the aeroplane as a mechanism has changed much. Maybe they have become more aerodynamic, possibly. So how can I describe aerodynamic? They move easier through air. So maybe airplanes have become more aerodynamic, but I don't think that their mechanism has changed very much. They probably changed more in their function rather than in their machinery, because originally aeroplanes were used only for professional reasons, but now they are used also for passengers, so for holidays, for travel, etc. Let me know also your opinions. How have these things changed and in what ways they have changed? Also, which of these inventions have become obsolete? I would say definitely the telephone. Nobody told me what the telephone that is fixed to the wall is called. It's called a landline. Okay, so the telephone that relies on a connection, a wall connection. So the landline has become obsolete. Honestly, I don't know many people who today have a landline in their homes. In fact, this would be an interesting question to ask. Do you have a landline? Do you still have a landline, rather? Will be my question. You can answer this question for me. Do you still have a landline? Sylvia says, in my opinion, the electricity has been changing drastically our life. Good. It still is necessary and updated all in our house, at work, everywhere. Yeah, absolutely. I would say, Sylvia, you can say electricity has changed. Okay, you can use present perfect. You don't need to use continuous. Okay, it has changed drastically our life. It is still necessary and updated. Good. Let me know if you have a landline. I'm curious to know. I do not have a landline. I have my mobile phone, and that's it. I depend on my mobile phone. If you have a landline, I'd be curious to know. Do you have a landline, and do you use it? Or who calls you on your landline? Looking also at other technologies that have become obsolete, possibly the first one, which did we decide, is it a monocle or a telescope? I don't remember. I don't know what we decided, but this is probably obsolete today. There are probably much more technologically advanced versions of this instrument, of this tool. We can also talk about the television, which originally was, of course, black and white. There was no color. And I remember that when I was a child, my television was this big box. It wasn't flat like televisions are today. Most televisions are very, very big and flat screen. But my first television was a big box. Let's see, Francesca says, I have a landline to speak to my mum. Oh, that's sweet. That's nice. Francesca, remember, with I've got, okay, a landline. You can say I've got a landline or I have a landline. But when you want to contract it, you need to use got. Sarah says, yes, I have a landline. I still have a landline because of my grandmother calls here every day just by telephone. Oh, that's wonderful. Cars had different fuels then in the past. I didn't know that. That's fantastic. Enrico says, I have a landline, but I use only my parents. Okay, I think you mean, Enrico, only my parents use it. Okay, you need to change the order a bit. Only my parents use it. Mum says I still have a landline, but nobody uses it unless they want to sell me something. Yeah, it's true, definitely. Just don't answer. Let's see, Monica says, in my view, technology doesn't. Okay, remember, technology is it. Doesn't finish evolving. Or doesn't stop, maybe is better. Doesn't stop evolving. Let me see if I can write this. So, in my view, technology doesn't stop evolving, but only interesting evolutions are medicine and car, means of transport in general. Nice, good answer. Let me remove this now. Can you think of any other technologies that have become obsolete? Any more technologies that don't exist anymore? And in the meantime, let's go on to our next activity. So we're going to do some vocabulary. We have some words related to technology and inventions: a patent, to flop, to take off, to come up with an idea, obsolete, and feasible. On the right, we have capable of doing, to achieve popular success, to completely fail, useless or outdated, to think of, and exclusive legal right to manufacture, use, or sell an invention. Okay, so let's think of which ones match together. So we'll match the words with their definition. Sylvia says Polaroid for the obsolete inventions. Yes, I think Polaroids now have purely nostalgic value. Recently, I've been to some parties. I've been to a birthday party and a wedding where the guests were given Polaroid cameras to take pictures during the party. But it's purely for a nostalgia, for fun. It's not for any real, it's not what you would use to take photographs, like serious photographs, I think. So let's start with these words and try to match them to the correct definition. Remember that we'll do some pronunciation. Remember that this word here is pronounced success. Okay. Let me try and write phonetically how you would say it. Remember that in English, double C is a x sound. So the sound is success. Okay. Nice, Francesca. The patent is, in fact, the exclusive legal right to manufacture something. So if you take out a patent, okay, this is the phrase we use in English. We say, take out a patent, or you can use it as a verb, to patent an invention. You either use the verb take out a patent or patent an invention. So you have the exclusive right legally to create it. Very nice, Tiziana. To flop is to completely fail, okay? Flop literally is if you take your arms like this and you do this, you flop, okay? So it's like you have no energy, no support, and you just collapse. So to flop, think of this, to collapse, to completely fail. We still have to take off, to come up with, obsolete, and feasible. Let me know in the comments, what do you think these mean? Trying to think of any other pronunciation. It should be okay. Monica says to take off is useless. Not quite. Remember that to take off is a verb. Okay, so we're looking for a verb in the other side too. Think of an aeroplane. When an aeroplane takes off, it goes into the sky. So we're thinking of take off, but not physically like an aeroplane or like a bird, but metaphorically to take off. So if an idea or a product takes off, what happens metaphorically? What do you think? Okay, so it's to take off, but metaphorically. Then we have obsolete, which we talked about earlier, and feasible, which is the final one. Good, Sylvia, very nice. To take off is to achieve popular success. So an idea might take off, a film might take off, or a food might take off. So when something becomes very popular and successful. Obsolete is useless or outdated, exactly. We still have come up with, and of course also feasible. So let me know in the comments what you think these words might mean. All right, I'll give you some help. We've got to come up with an idea, a phrasal verb. To come up with, remember, is 3 words. Some of our phrasal verbs have 3 words, is to think of, or to invent even. And then we have obsolete, so useless or outdated, and feasible, which means that something is capable of happening. Very nice job, guys. Good. Sorry, there is a bit of a lag with your comments. Come up with, and good. Feasible is capable of doing. So feasible is an adjective, and it means sort of realistic or practical or even possible, okay? So you could ask somebody if their plan is feasible or if their idea is feasible. So is it realizable in real life? Is it practical to do in real life? Okay, we'll skip this and let's look at some more inventions. We've got some inventions. We have personal jetpacks. If you look in the picture, you can see an example of a personal jetpack. I probably should never use one of these. We have food in a pill. robot maids, so robot servants, let's say, an underwater city, a flying car, or a time machine? Here are your questions. Which are most likely to take off or to flop? Which are the most feasible, so practical, realistic, or the least feasible? And which would be the most useful? Let me know in the comments your opinions on these inventions and the questions. Which would be successful? Which would be practical? Which would be useless, etc. I think that the personal jetpacks are a terrible, terrible idea. I'm just going to say it. I know a lot of people who can't really walk without injuring themselves and others, so I can't imagine how personal jetpacks would improve our lives in any way. They seem very dangerous. So I think that personal jetpacks are probably the least feasible. Let me know what you think. What is your opinion? Now, food in a pill. Imagine this. I know it's difficult very much for Italians to imagine this because, food is so important. But imagine that you are at work in the busy office and you need to eat, but you have no time for a lunch break because you are so stressed and so busy. So you take a pill, like a medicine, you eat it, you drink some water, and you don't feel hungry. You have all your vitamins, your nutrients. I think that food in a pill could be popular. I think it could take off, especially in areas, in countries where there is a lot of work, a lot of industry, where people do not have time to cook and eat. I think that food in a pill could really take off. Let me know if you agree. Obviously, I'm not saying that food in a pill is good in all occasions, but in some occasions, I think it would definitely be useful. Robot maids, I won't even talk about. I love cleaning. Cleaning my house is my favorite hobby. Well, almost my favorite hobby, so I don't want to think about robot maids. I like cleaning. Let's see what Gasadina says. Mum says food in a pill would be totally useless. We can discuss this later. We will talk more about it. Tell me why though. Monica says, I'm a traditional person, so I don't like anything of these future inventions. P.S. I'm 25 years old. Remember that we don't use double negatives in English, Monica, so you can say, I don't like any of these inventions. Okay? We can't use two negatives in one sentence in English. I don't like any of these. Oh, excuse me, forgot. I don't like any of these inventions. Francesca says, I think a time machine is the least feasible, and I absolutely agree with you. I don't think a time machine is very possible. Sorry, Monica, let me write this again because I made a mistake. I don't like any of these. People will be even more distant if that happens. You mean the food in the pill? Yeah, definitely. As I said before, I don't think it would be good for all occasions, but sometimes when you're very busy, it could be useful. And Tiziana says, in my opinion, only food in a pill and an underwater city are the most likely to flop. Nice. Okay, guys, we have 1 minute left of our webinar. So if you have any questions or any comments, now is the opportunity to tell me. And let's go back a bit over what we did today. So we had this fantastic word, feasible, which means realistic, practical, possible. And another fantastic word, obsolete, as Francesca said, is useless or outdated. We can come up with an idea. So when you think of something or you invent something, remember that with a patent, we can use the verb take out a patent, or you can simply use patent as a verb. So you patent an invention. This word, which is terrible to pronounce, is success. Take a moment to practice it at home, okay? And I think that's pretty much everything. Let's see some final comments. Mum says, if people become busier than they are now, there will be more coronavirus in the future. Oh dear, I hope not. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for being here. And I will see you very, very soon. Have a lovely evening. Bye, guys.